Okay, so this is a video on a reaction video on the whole Christian Obumseli situation with Courtney Taylor, and I want to respond to this, react to this video because I see that a lot of different other videos didn't really come up with the information that came on here, so I thought it was worth mentioning and reacting to, because the last videos I've reacted to on this didn't have the same information. So here we go.
I'm so happy to have you a part of this channel. And thank you to all of you viewers for always understanding that sponsors are essential to the channel if we want to grow it to a place where I can give you true crime all the time. Now let's talk about today's case. Okay. Where do I see myself in 5 years? That's a good question. Okay. I see myself with say 2 children. I would say at least 1 kid. In like 5 years, I want 1 kid. Should I have a daughter or a son? I want like a kid. A few houses. Business going on. Probably not OF, but we'll see. Christian's relatives are claiming that OnlyFans star Courtney Taylor brutally and senselessly stabbed her boyfriend to...
I don't get why the main focus has to be on her basically being a part of OnlyFans, as if that has to do with if this is a situation of self-defense or murder. I mean, like, you could just use the facts instead of trying to character assassin someone by trying to show their OnlyFans pics. But here we go. Continue.
Death in an unprovoked attack that fateful evening on Sunday, April 3rd. And investigators are saying that Christian, who was stabbed once in his chest, and there have been mixed reports on this. Some reports are saying that he was stabbed in the shoulder, while some are saying the chest. In my last video, I said that I suspect he was stabbed somewhere around this location, and that's why, some people are saying the chest, some people are saying the shoulder. But anyways, investigators said that Christian, who was stabbed once in the chest, and Courtney had been involved in a physical altercation that evening before the stabbing took place. And Courtney's attorney and her camp has said that she stabbed Christian in self-defense. Now, Christian's family is absolutely outraged over new footage showing Courtney without what they say an ounce of remorse. In one clip on Friday, April...
It doesn't make any sense. It's like these people don't pay attention to what self-defense is. They act like people should have remorse, as if self-defense is a form of murder, or like you are a murderer, you're just lying, kind of like thing. Like, why would you expect a reaction like a typical murder when someone didn't murder somebody? She didn't murder Christian Obumseli if it was for self-defense. And all the evidence in this case just proves that it is actually, self-defense. It does, And so to me, I just don't get why these type of people will try and say, oh, she should have had remorse. She should have remorse for someone who has shown to be a threat to her life and well-being way before this incident. I mean, she's had 7 times where she had to call the police on him for domestic violence perpetrated against her while she was in the relationship with him. She had to get him kicked out of her home and also take him off of her lease, and she's been in this abusive relationship for 2 years. So, wanting to see basically signs that she is remorseful would imply you want to see signs that she's actually a murderer, not signs that she is actually someone who is a survivor of domestic abuse and survived a situation where she had to use self-defense to get herself out of a situation where a perpetrator was actively trying to kill her. So continue.
8th, Courtney can be seen in a Miami bar having drinks with her father, where she's then confronted by somebody who happens to be in the bar as well.
I'll videotape her. Right now, you should go. Yeah, you should go. Because you just killed your boyfriend. Yeah, you did. Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. I'll videotape her. Right now, you should go. Yeah, you.
To me, things like this only show how bad society is, because you're basically saying someone who you don't even know if they killed their boyfriend. You're claiming they killed their boyfriend just because he's dead, but you very well know, everybody knows at this point, or most people know, that there was domestic violence in this relationship, and that the police had been called 7 times to that residence because of his abusive behavior towards her, basically, in 1 month. And you have no sympathy for someone who is just a survivor of domestic violence and actually had to use, deadly force to actually make it out of that relationship, and get away from that abuser. To me, it's just like, it's so sad that someone would be so cruel to an individual who was just trying to survive. It doesn't make her look badly at all. What is this video supposed to make this lady look badly for? Her trying to live her life, just trying to go to a restaurant and eat? That's supposed to make her look badly. No, the person doing this tape looks like a cold-hearted bum, honestly. But continue.
Should go. Because you just killed your boyfriend. Yeah, you did. Yeah, and yeah.
In another image that appears to be going viral at the moment, Courtney can be seen in her apartment immediately following the stabbing, covered in blood head to toe, and giving her dog kisses. It also appears as though she is handcuffed as this is happening. And look, guys, I've never stabbed anyone, no less somebody that I love, so I can't even pretend.
What do you mean, someone she loved? That's what I don't get. People act like this guy was somebody who didn't, beat her up 7 times in the past month, enough to have to call the police 7 times in the last month, being in a relationship for 2 years, of which probably was the norm of being beaten up that much, that often, that horrendously, And you mean to tell me that she's supposed to feel love and affection for someone who probably was trying to kill her? It's like you guys don't understand the safety and basically the concerns of the safety for her. You almost act like she's not even a human being and not worthy of safety. She's not worthy of being protected simply because of her job. Like, that's just so sick and sad that this world has come to us saying that people, because of their job, they don't even deserve to protect themselves from someone who's trying to kill them and put their life at risk and has proven to only be violent to them. But continue.
To imagine how I would be responding or acting in a moment like that. However, I can confidently say that I don't think if I am dripping in blood still from my partner who I love, that I would be, relaxed.
Why lie? Again, why is she calling that person Christian Obumseli Courtney Taylor's partner? That's not her partner. That's her ex-boyfriend. That's not her current boyfriend. It wasn't her current boyfriend when that situation happened. She had already broken up with him. She had already kicked him out of her home. They were not in a relationship anymore. He just could not let go. And that shows what's going on, because when a woman leaves a domestically abusive relationship, that's the most dangerous part of the domestic abusive relationship. In many cases, many women lose their lives because they walked away from a domestic abusive relationship. And you're saying that she is the one in the wrong for trying to get away from this monster? What kind of sick human beings are these? Really, honestly. Continue.
Enough, seemingly, to be bending over, hunching over, and giving my dog kisses. It's a little weird. It's a little weird, guys. A little weird. It seems almost like she's, I don't know.
And it's not weird to give your dog kisses and try to comfort your dog in a situation where the dog may have just seen you be physically attacked, maybe even in a deadly way, and have your dog in a situation where there are many uniformed police officers walking around your home that are unknown to your dog. Dogs are very protective of their homes. This is a big violation for dogs, and as an owner, you have to actually try and calm your dog down in those situations, because dogs, one, try to comfort their owner when they're distressed, and also the dog will be distressed in a situation like that. But continue.
Relaxed and happy and leaning over and giving the dog kisses while she's handcuffed and covered in blood, unless she was having some sort of mental break or something, which is absolutely possible because we know that she also was put on that 72-hour.
And talking about it as if she's like in a frenzy, happy, crazy state, knowing the fact that she only stabbed this man one time in the shoulder lets you know that it's obviously not a happy, frenzy, crazed situation. Because if someone was doing something like that, they would actually stab them multiple times, all over the place. Like how they say, people, they happily, kill someone, play with their guts, and so forth. Things like that actually happen with people in multiple exchanges of stabs, basically. Not just one stab to the shoulder. One stab to the shoulder implies self-defense. It really does. And that's why a lot of people try to gloss over that, because they know it doesn't sound as horrendous as they want it to sound, basically. And the reason they want it to sound more horrendous than it is because I think there are, connotations against people for the line of work they choose to do in their own personal life, that they want to paint people in a bad light simply because of what they chose to do in their personal life and the way they earn money, So that's how I see that. Continue again.
Psych hold. So maybe it hadn't quite connected and maybe it wasn't computing in her brain as far as what just happened. Maybe. But in any event, this image is out there.
Also added to that, she didn't probably know he was even dead at that point, because it was just one stab to the shoulder, and he died later on when they transported him. He didn't die at the scene, which kind of makes sense. Who dies at the scene from being stabbed in the shoulder? Again, you have to try and hide from the facts when the facts aren't aligning with the story that you want to try and make it out to be. Continue.
Going viral right now. We also have learned new statements, not only from Christian's family, but from Courtney's attorney, where he is actually going into much more description regarding the self-defense claims and actually also drops a huge bombshell. So Christian's brother Jeff had said, "It's been a week since my brother was brutally and senselessly killed. Courtney's callous actions have not been met with an ounce of remorse." He also says,
Yeah, he was obviously not killed for no reason, because if you are trying to attack people and they're just trying to get away from you, and they stab you once. Well, maybe you should not have gone to their apartment, possibly broken, and tried to attack them. You know, you're the aggressor, and people do what they have to do to defend themselves in those situations. There's nothing wrong with what she did in that regard, especially since she didn't even go overkill in that situation. He was only stabbed once.
Seen videos of Courtney kissing dogs while covered in my brother's blood, and also casually getting drinks at a hotel bar days later while my brother lays in the morgue.
And it's so funny. Why do you expect her to show remorse to a situation where she is not the culpable murderer? This is what's weird to me. It's like, why are you expecting her to be acting like the murderer just because you said she was the murderer when it's already been shown that there's more evidence showing that she's actually just a victim of domestic violence and just basically, trying to survive a very life-threatening situation in which she had to use self-defense to actually protect herself. But continue.
Lawyer for Christian's family is saying that Courtney's versions of events was inconsistent and not credible enough to back up her version and her claim of self-defense. Because Courtney is saying that she stabbed Christian after he attacked her, pushed her to the floor, and grabbed her neck, that she had no choice but to then stab him. But the lawyer is saying that her version of events in that story is inconsistent with the evidence. And they also are saying that they want her to be arrested and that the family is absolutely...
Yes, and that's what I mean. I don't understand why they say that it doesn't line up. From what we're hearing about one thing that would make sense, at least on the forensic level of this, how does it not? How do you mean to tell me that she stabbed him once and blood is all over her? Okay, if he was not over her and she stabbed him once, the blood would not be all over her. Just saying. It kind of actually aligns with what she's saying, that he was over her and she stabbed him and blood got all over her. How else do you mean to tell me she got blood all over her? Just saying. I mean, like, people say it spurted out. It would not spurt all over her. It would make more sense that it would actually just go all over her if he's hovered over her, strangling her. Strangling her would make much more sense. Also, what does she have access to if she's trying to stab him? She has access to basically his shoulder. Right on his shoulder, basically. It makes perfect physical sense that she would stab him in the shoulder in that situation. Maybe possibly near his chest, And it would also make more sense because also by the physical aspect of things, when when a woman chases a man basically with a knife, usually he can grab her arm and actually take the knife out of her hand. Usually a woman with a knife and a man, he's really not at that much of a threat because he can literally overpower her if he sees it coming. But the thing is, if he doesn't see it coming because he's busy focused on strangling her, he may not see that she is actually taking a knife out and actually stabbing him. Because she might have that knife already on her and then basically stab him to get him off of her. So, continue.
Devastated. Christian's family also has been very vocal about Courtney getting special treatment, saying the bottom line is clear. Courtney is being treated differently because of her privilege as a wealthy white woman, and that within 24 hours of Christian's death, the detective on the case prematurely concluded.
And that's the thing. She is being treated differently because she is a white woman who has money. she is treated as if she doesn't even need to be protected as a woman who is a survivor of domestic abuse, well documented for months. Because they actually did say for 3 months that there have been plenty of situations where he was domestically abusing her, 7 times of which she called the police the month before she broke up with him for physically abusing her. So, in any other case, people would be trying to give her the benefit of the doubt here and trying to actually hear what happened exactly. And everything that we're getting so far does imply self-defense, And the thing is, people would be forgiving. They wouldn't just be forgiving because there's nothing to forgive in this situation. She did nothing wrong. But they would be understanding of the fact that she's a domestic violence survivor and she had to use deadly force to get out of that situation, because after a domestic violent survivor basically gets out of their relationship, that's the most violent situation. It's the most dangerous part of their relationship. And this is when the abuser many of the time goes and kills the victim and survivor of domestic violence, basically. In any other case, if she was black, they would have actually not even mentioned this. They would not have even talked about this. They would be painting her as the victim right now and understanding that she was just trying to basically make it out alive, out of a very violent, toxic, domestically abusive relationship. But because she's white, they think that, they can treat her negatively and say that she's basically a psychopath and she's a monster or whatever because she's white. Simply because she's white. So, yes, she is being treated unfairly. She is definitely being treated differently because she is a white woman who has money. But it is not in the sense of privilege. It is actually in the sense of mistreatment towards her simply because she is a survivor of domestic violence and because he's a black man who is very protected in this environment. And people see it as if anytime a black man is killed by someone who is white, that white person must be the victim. The black person must be the victim. You get what I'm saying. But yeah, continue.
That this was not a crime of violence, but the information provided is deficient, and the lack of transparency strongly suggests that foul play is involved. She has no injuries.
No, there's actually plenty of evidence showing that she was acting in defense. Even you are pointing out how it is self-defense. You're bringing up many different situations where it implies it's self-defense, like claiming that there's blood all over her when she only stabbed him one time. Why would there be blood all over her? It wasn't a bloodbath because she didn't stab him more than once. She only stabbed him once in the shoulder, and no one intends to kill anyone when they stab someone once in the shoulder. You can't make that up and try and say someone was trying to kill anyone in that event. Continue.
To support her story of imminent danger. And his family is saying, we have every reason to believe that this death was the result of unwarranted and unprovoked violence, and that they want to see that justice is served. But Courtney's lawyer is absolutely...
It's so very weird, too, because it's like, why is the family even a big spokesperson in this situation? Why is it so important how they feel? As if how they feel is going to change what exactly happened in this situation, whether it's self-defense or murder. They can't say anything about this situation. They weren't there. They have no physical, tangible evidence. All you're basically saying is that there's a sad mother. Well, we didn't think that he came from the devil or something. You know what I mean? Of course he has a mother. Of course he has a family. Well, this is what he chose to do with his family. He chose to put them through this. When he harassed his ex-girlfriend, would not let go, was domestically violent towards her for 2 years. Had the police called on him 7 times in 1 month. And on top of it, basically stalked her for days beforehand and attacked her that day. What more, what bigger type of deadly force do you need than to be being strangled by a man who is 3 times your size? How do you expect her to get out of that situation? You really mean to tell me you think she's just gonna try and bat her eyes and ask him to... Well, she can't even ask him to because his hands are around her neck. What do you expect her to do? Of course she used deadly force. He used deadly force against her. She has no choice in that situation. Continue.
Adamant that this was self-defense, saying that he believed Courtney was the victim at the hands of Christian. Her attorney also drops a complete bombshell, and he suggested that Courtney may have even been a victim of human trafficking. I can't say that word on YouTube because they're going to flag me, but I hope you know where I'm going with that. Although when the lawyer said this, he did not expand on the claim, but he dropped that, and that is a huge bombshell in this. He went on to say that Courtney had apparently been fighting for her life that Sunday evening during that altercation between the couple, when she then had to stab him to get him off of her. He also says that at the time of the incident, Christian was committing a forcible felony, that he had gained access to Courtney's apartment without her permission, and that he did this on several occasions in the days leading up to this incident. The DA's office said in a statement on Friday that when the investigation is completed, the state attorney office will review the police department's evidentiary presentation and then take appropriate legal action in accordance with the law. Courtney has not been charged in this death, although cops and prosecutors...
As she shouldn't be. This is what I mean. In clear-cut situations where it's clearly self-defense, no one should ever have to be charged with murder simply because they were trying to defend themselves. And we all know it. Just because the person happened to be another race and they have a job that you don't like them to have. You don't have to patron her OnlyFans account, And anyway, why are you so mad at her for that? Why don't you actually go after the patrons who are financially supporting her? If you really are concerned about that, you should just go after those people because, they're the ones actually making her rich, But instead, no, you want to try and make up a false crime that she basically committed just to punish her for basically a choice of career that you don't agree with. It's a free country. You don't like it, you don't have to do it. But that doesn't have to do with whether this was self-defense or whether this was murder. There's nothing pointing to anything having to do with a murder, but continue.
Courtney has not been charged in this death, although cops and prosecutors have said that the investigation is in fact ongoing. And we still have a lot to learn about this case. And I haven't quite formed an opinion yet either way. What I do find curious, however, though, is the amount of blood on Courtney from a single stab wound. More than likely, the knife hit a major artery, which is why the single stab wound was in fact fatal, and in turn, that would supply a lot of blood coming out. However, the amount of blood on Courtney and the placement of the blood raises a question to me. I can't help but wonder what the physical position she must have been in was when she did stab him and when the stabbing occurred. Could she have been underneath him if he were in fact on top of her and that's why blood poured over her? Or if she were on top, could that much blood have come out if she hit that artery and it squirted out all over?
It doesn't make any sense that if she was on top, that the blood would just spurt out like that. 1, 2, most of the time, if there was a knife like that headed towards him, he would be able to actually stop her from stabbing him. And he wasn't asleep, for example. So he would be able to grab her and stop her from stabbing him. So even if that was the case, from that angle, it wouldn't make much sense, in my opinion. Some people tried to claim it was while he was sleeping too. I think they knew the reason they would do that was because they knew if it was in any other case, it would seem very unplausible that she would have actually been able to actually stab him, because he could easily grab her wrists and actually take the knife from her hand. Continue, though.
Top. Could that much blood have come out if she hit that artery and it squirted out all over her? I think the blood pattern and the blood amount will shed a lot of light on this case and the truth of what really happened. Because truthfully, I see arguments from both sides of this. I see things that point to this possibly being a DV and self-defense situation, but I also see pieces of it that lead me to believe she's not very remorseful and that she never really was remorseful.
Why should someone be remorseful when they didn't commit a murder? It doesn't make any sense. It's like she's saying that you see things that seem like it could be domestic. I mean, have to do with self-defense, you know. But then you want to also say that why is she not remorseful for killing him, for murdering him? If we just went through the fact that she didn't murder him and it was self-defense, then why would she feel guilty for murdering him when she didn't even murder him in the first place? It's justified. So there's nothing that she needs to feel guilty for. She shouldn't feel guilty or feel bad for trying to actually just live. She wasn't even intending to kill him. You can tell because she only stabbed the man in his shoulder. Nobody kills anybody by trying to stab them in the shoulder. Ever, okay? Especially when she had lots of time to do more if she wanted to. But she didn't. She only stabbed him once. That lets you know that she wasn't trying to kill him. So she has nothing to be guilty for. She should try to live her life and try to move on. What else do you expect her to actually do? But yeah, continue.
And that makes me wonder why. Especially when it comes to the testimony of some of the friends and the mutual friends and what they...
I gotta hit the...
Oh, sorry,
the time
commercial.
app today and get started.
I never thought I would say this, but
Sorry.
I caught my girlfriend cheating on me with my best friend.
Okay, there.
When it comes to the testimony of some of the friends and the mutual friends and what they have witnessed over the, short 2 years that the couple had been dating. So I think we still have a lot to learn, and I think as this investigation goes on...
And it's so weird to me. Why would anyone follow what the friends and family say in this situation? No one follows what the friends and family say with a serial killer, with a robber, with a child molester. You don't follow what the friends and family say, because why would you follow what they say? Of course, they're biased. They're friends and family. It's just obvious that would be the case. So to me, it's just like, forensic evidence, especially like talking about the blood and things of that nature, why would there be so much blood all over her? It's because she's under him. There's no other way that could honestly happen, where she stabbed him in the shoulder, I think, honestly, with the blood getting all over her, other than her being under him. And not just that, it's also the fact that, when it comes to strength, it makes sense that she would stab him from underneath him, because he feels like he's in control by strangling her, so he thinks she's debilitated, therefore not paying attention to the fact that she has a knife and she's going to stab him in the shoulder. This makes sense why she only stabbed him once, too, because it seems like she only had basically one chance to get out of this situation, or else she was going to be dead. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense why the stab was so intense too, probably was because with adrenaline and with flight or fight situations, people get a lot more strength in those situations. And so obviously it could easily hit an artery in those cases because, of the force. So to me, I mean, like, I just think it's kind of obvious this was self-defense. There needs to be more information brought out, of course, yes. And on the other situation of human situations, the human TRA thing that she was talking about, no one has enough information on that to really know what's going on there. But I mean, like, maybe that could be the impetus as to why he continued to stalk and follow her after she kicked him out of her home and broke up with him and called the police on him 7 times for beating her up. Maybe that's why. Maybe it was because of financial gain and he felt like he was losing financial gain through her, with a situation like that. But no one really knows because we don't have enough evidence, or information given out to the public yet. But I do agree with, like, the whole thing about 24 hours with the detective deciding that it was definitely self-defense. It seems like it from this angle that it definitely was self-defense. So is it really a shock that a detective looked into this and it was a closed and open case of self-defense? I think people in the end are just riled up by her profession and also by the fact that she is, white and he is black. People are so racist that they can't even have sympathy on a domestic violence survivor just simply because she's white and her partner, her ex-boyfriend, who is domestically violent and domestically abusive to her, happened to be a black man. We don't need to see race in this situation, and we don't have to consider what her occupation is in life or what her goals are in life. That's her business and her future and her concern. We don't need to be concerned what his preference was either. Like, these are silly things to be concerned about. That's a non-topic issue. The only time I think that it ever matters is somebody pointed out that he may have hated women, and that's a common trait among people who domestically abuse their women. Obviously they do hate women because they're beating and abusing women, so that wouldn't be a shock, and I guess there is a correlation there. But as far as race has nothing to do with this, in my opinion. So that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe, and have a great day. Bye.